Good afternoon or good morning, depending upon where you are, and Happy New Year. I took a really safe bet picking Ryan Smith today to help shed some light on our benchmark report, the transition to technology and physical security. And I'm excited to have Ryan with me. Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Good morning. No, appreciate it. Honored. And like we were saying earlier, AI and drones, that's my jam. So no, appreciate you invite me on and just like another conversation we're having. We've been talking about this for a couple years. So
absolutely. Well, I want to first congratulate you on making it to the security letter list, which has been around since 1988. And if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to convince Bob McCree, who is the founder of that letter, that it's a good time for us to start to show as a percentage of revenue the technology contribution, which obviously plays into the benchmarking profitability report.
Yes, very much. No, I appreciate that. That was exciting for us and good to see that the shift that we're seeing of people and technology is starting to spread out and kind of penetrate some of those older models. So
right. So Ryan, before we dive in, it's really important to give our audience a feel for that moment in time that you said, wow, I've got to be in the technology business to complement my security business, and what that looked like.
Sure. Yeah. For me, it was 2008, to be honest with you.
Wow.
And that was, I started my career as a security officer when I was 18, did that through college, then went to law enforcement and did that for a while. When I started Titan in 2008, that was what I was hoping to do, was implement technology. And I would think, why can't we use the cameras that are on these buildings to let us know when there's activity and then provide a human response to that? And it was a little bit naive and a little bit, the technology wasn't there at the time. And so I kind of started with what worked and then continued to kind of mine those opportunities along the way. And now we're seeing kind of that, that delta close between people and technology.
When did you roll out your first trailer? I say that in the shadows of a recent announcement last week by Amazon Ring that they're entering the towers camera business.
That will be interesting. So we built our first trailer in 2014. Ironically, 4 or 5 months ago, that same trailer was sold. It was to a construction company. They sold it to another company who contacted us to monitor it. So it continues to live on. It was kind of a full circle moment to see that first one still out there kicking, but that was 2014.
Right. An overused word in our industry clearly is convergence, one single pane of glass, et cetera, but you do have multidiscipline service offerings. And I'd like for you to share with the group a little bit what they are and how they play together today. And then we'll pivot into modern day, hour to hour AI news and drone news.
Sure. So, I mean, for us, we started doing traditional security officers and patrol services and then started to get into remote video monitoring. And we did that. We started our first security operations center in 2012 and have been doing that ever since. And so it's kind of been a slow, building upon mobile surveillance units, then started to take the lion's share of that business. And to be candid with you, that 2014 to 2019 period when we were really trying to feel our way through what was the model. Was it security officers? Was it technology? I kind of had and I think a lot of people are doing this with AI, it's a one or the other. And what we've learned over that is it's more the Goldilocks of what's the right combination. And that changes from client to client and, what the right recipe. There's not one standard for every application. And so I've taken more of and I think the winning model, there's still, that last mile problem of who's going to respond to the alert. So I really think it's the hybrid approach. And I feel pretty strong that it'll remain that way in the near future. I think there's an argument to be had over when, what is full autonomy and when does that happen? But, so for now, I think that's a kind of a mixed bag of putting the right blend together.
There's always trigger events in the cyber world. I always go back, which is probably now 4 or 5 years old, to the Colonial Pipeline, where security people, physical side, could no longer just say it's the guy down the hallway, right?
Right.
And similar to that, sadly, I say it was the Trump incident in Pennsylvania, and very sadly, the Charlie Kirk incident that brought, I think, mass observation or mass, what's the word I want? I guess visibility, for lack of a better term, into the drone world. And of course, stranger to that being a pilot as well. So tell me what made you enter that space and what that looks like today, be it vertical or otherwise.
Sure. Yeah, the drone thing was something just personally passionate about. I, always liked aviation. I started flying single engine airplanes when I was 14. I had a grandfather that retired as the deputy director of the FAA. So aviation was always part of my life growing up and continues to be today. So as drones started to come around, was very interesting, started playing with them personally and, 2011, 12, that type of, when they were first starting to come out, the DJI Phantom and these things. And so being able to see what they could do from a security perspective and being able to put law enforcement security together with aviation and technology was just, has been something that I've been following for quite some time, but put a lot of different passions together for me personally.
Right. And from a standpoint of what's working today, do you have them in the field commercially? Are they providing value? Do you have customers using them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely seeing some areas where they're shining. Large areas to patrol are certainly one, but I'm always very cautious when I say that because I think sometimes people can hear drone has to equal large area, and that's not necessarily the case. We're seeing it work very well. And two, majority of our mobile surveillance, those are all outdoor assets. And so when we're talking about drones and doing different things like that, we're talking about outdoor areas. And so that is definitely auto dealerships, construction sites, really, and to be candid with you, where we're really seeing it shine is, the traditional path that maybe a client goes down is we're having issues outside. We put a security officer outside.
Right.
We continue to have issues. So what do? We add a second officer.
Right.
We all know what happens. You have to have strong tour management and, things like that in front of those. But a lot of times those two officers end up sitting together all night and talking and, being together. You're not really expanding your coverage, but you've doubled your cost. So we're seeing that application where we're able to leave one officer in place and augment it with the drone, again, that hybrid approach. And that's the one that we're really seeing some success with.
Excellent. You can't really mention whether they be fixed cameras, robots, or drones for that matter without mentioning AI. Bring us up to date. I think you went off a little bit on your own to go take some classes and learn more about how that can influence your business. Where did you go? What did you learn? And what did you implement?
I took a couple executive leadership class. I did one at MIT that's on AI transformation. I did another one at Harvard, and those are big names, and certainly it was intimidating for me. I'm not somebody that was terribly scholarly or anything like that. What I really wanted to do was just get close to the leading minds and seeing what's out there and what's working and what to stay away from, and kind of that hybrid. It's so similar to what we're seeing with this transformation in the security industry with the AI side is, it's not necessarily or one or the other. My daughter last year's AI is getting talked about a lot. She's 11 years old. And she said, Dad, am I going to have a job when I get older? And I said, it's a great question, but it's a choose your own adventure. If you say AI is going to take my job and you do nothing about it, that will happen. If you get good at AI and kind of what I'm hearing now in that common thread is AI won't take your job, but a person using AI will take your job. And that's where I think that hybrid approach, and we're seeing a lot of people that are trying AI or using it, but we're not seeing very many people that are having bottom line success with it. And I think there's a lot of reasons by that, but just trying to stay on the leading edge of it. And the overarching theme is also it's changing so quickly. So trying to plan what AI looks like a year down the road or even 6 months can almost be wasted effort. The best advice I can give is get your board in the water and start paddling, because
fantastic. Well, Ryan, you've been a leader in this field and passionate about education. I've watched you speak many different councils and opportunities, and so in finishing the discussion, what would you recommend to people today that say, I have a profile of a customer that looks like they can benefit from this? What should they do other than reach out to you, which you have done very generously through our relationships with other TrackForce customers at events and et cetera?
Sure. I mean, I definitely would say, and we're talking with drones or AI or both.
Drones specifically.
With drones, I would definitely start with the outcome in mind and build backwards.
Right.
Instead of trying to identify A plus B equals C or that type of thing, is start with what we're trying to accomplish. I'm very passionate about the ROI has to be there in the sense that
right.
it has to make sense economically. And so there's some really good use cases in some ways and, some different ways to look at that.
Great.
So it'd definitely be a good starting point.
Ryan, you've been really generous to us and to the industry and been a great guest on most of our events, which have been fun. And I thank you very, very much to you and the Titan team, a wonderful and successful 26. And hopefully I'll see you on the road very soon.
You got it. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Peace.